National Park covers an area of over 500 square miles and extends over 9 counties in the southern half of Wales. It has terrific scenery and notoriously challenging landscapes. For many, it's a playground. For me, it's a place to escape, a place to be alone with nature. Over the seasons, I'm exploring the magic of the beacons. Emyr Williams and his son Morgan are gathering sheep off the Black Mountain foothills in the western part of the Brecon Beacons. It's the last week in June and the sheep need to be sheared. There are over 1,000 farms in the Brecon Beacons and many of them are dependent on sheep for their survival.
Hello.
Hello, how are you? Alright?
Not too bad, yourself?
Nice to see you gathering sheep on horseback.
Aye, there's not many doing it now.
No, I tell you what, I walk the hills, you see them all on quads, I just don't see people on horseback anymore.
No.
But this is the way that it would have been done for years, isn't it?
Well, that's right, yeah. My father before me, that's all I remember, really. We do use a quad, obviously, but...
And this is getting them off the hill now to go down for shearing.
Down for shearing, yeah.
And I bet the horses and the dog love it,
yes, they enjoy it, yeah.
The sheep appear to know their way. I'll walk down with you.
That's right, yeah.
This way with you. So you said your father and your granddad have done all this
before,
you know?
Yeah.
And I see you got your son with you. Is it your son?
Well, yeah, he comes along. He enjoys it, yeah.
Are you enjoying it? Good boy, Davachkian. Well done you. Well done you. You go on. I know you've got a lot of work. I'll try and catch up with you now. Don't bother with you now. What's the advantage, and if most people go out on a quad and you still go on horses, what's the big advantage of using a horse?
Well, because it's quieter, I personally think it's more thorough. You tend to miss the odd ewe and lamb hiding in nooks and crannies, whereas you can look around as well on these.
Horses dying to go, absolutely loving it, absolutely loving it.
To make the job easier, Emyr is shepherding his flock down a narrow bridleway next to the Southern Brecon, the river that eventually makes its way to the Tawy. These are ewes with this year's lambs. After the ewes have been sheared, they'll all go back to the hills to graze, and Emyr and his son will have to gather them again during August, when the lambs are ready to be separated from their mothers.
Thank you very much for that. Cheers. Good luck with the shearing.
Thank you very much.
Ta-da,
okay,
ta-da.
The Black Mountain area of the Brecon Beacons is the wildest and the most remote part of the national park. On the Carmarthen Van Peaks, you can get further away from a road than anywhere else in the park. It's a perfect place to raise a fox family.
I spent so much time when I was a youngster out on the hill and in the woods around my home in mid-Wales looking at foxes, especially on a lovely summer's evening like this. And there's a fox's earth. I say fox's earth, it's actually an old badger set. That's quite common with foxes, especially out in the hill like this. And there are 3 cubs. One of them is a bit of a bully. That's probably the most dominant cub. It's sort of jumping on the backs of all the others and sending them back down underground. This is a really good time to come and watch them because they don't wander far from the earth. The cubs are at least 2 months old now, and the parents will be out looking for food somewhere, and they'll hunt right up onto the high tops if they have to. And earlier on in spring they will have been feeding on carrion. There'll be a lot of dead lambs, a lot of dead sheep up here. They'll be picking up now, I'd imagine, mainly things like mice and voles, especially in these wetter areas. That'll be full of mice and voles now, and beetles, and when it's wet, earthworms as well. That actually makes up most of their food. And the cubs will just hang around and play by the den. They'll work out a kind of hierarchy, they'll fight, they'll play fight, and that of course will be useful later on in life when they themselves are learning how to hunt. And then the adults will come back probably after dark, and they'll regurgitate the food for the youngsters to eat. But it's a pretty idyllic life for these youngsters at the moment. When they grow up, of course, come September time, they'll get kicked out, and then life becomes quite a bit more dangerous for them.
It's anyone's guess how many foxes there are in the Beacons, but they're everywhere. And with so many sheep and lambs on the hills, it's inevitable that many of these foxes will be culled. While hunting with hounds has been illegal now for over 10 years, farmers can still legally shoot them. The hills of Mynydd Myddfai are in the northwestern part of the Brecon Beacons, near Llandyfri. The slopes fall into the beautiful rural valleys of Carmarthenshire. It's a place that's renowned for the legendary physicians of Myddfai. They were 12th century herbalists who identified healing properties in the plants growing in the area.
The physicians of Myddfai, remarkably, we've got their manuscripts, so we've got their recipes, and not only do they tell us the plant and what they're used for, but they tell us how they made it.
Lara Bean grew up in Myddfai, and the local heritage in medicine inspired her to become a herbalist.
So we're looking at a hedgerow here. What are you looking for? Are you just looking for common hedgerow plants?
Yeah, anything basically, anything that has a medicinal value. So here, for instance, we've got one of the most popular herbs that's used traditionally in this area, which is elderflower. And this one is one you might have come across it talking to elderly folk about. They talk about it for winter ills. You come across that?
No, is that colds and things like that?
Completely, yeah. So they'd make it into a wine.
Yes.
The white of the flower tells you that it's got flavonoids in it, which are anti-inflammatory. The berries, which will be coming on now, those are purple, which tells you that they have antioxidants, anthocyanins, which are those strong antioxidants, so basically a superfood. But also, really remarkably, they've recently found this particular constituent in elderberries that's called antivirin, and it basically stops the virus from reproducing in the body. Scientists these days are looking in great detail for its antiviral properties.
Wow.
And particularly for some of the superflus.
And this is a common hedgerow plant. So you've got meadowsweet, and we've got meadowsweet growing in the hedgerows, common plant now, of course, in high summer.
Meadowsweet's an interesting one because it shows the connection between orthodox medicine and plants. So one of the plants that they extracted the active constituent aspirin, and now it's just synthetically made. But interestingly, one of the main uses of meadowsweet, and a very safe home use for meadowsweet, is for digestive problems. And I would use it in my practice for stomach ulcers.
It's been claimed that the birth of modern medicine can be traced back to the physicians of Myddfai. It may or may not be true, but it's a nice thought that some of our modern-day cures for headaches, coughs and sneezes have their roots in this stunning part of the Beacons. What I like most about the Brecon Beacons National Park is that it's big enough for plenty of quiet places off the beaten track. One of those locations is Penwyllt in the Forest Fawr area. Penwyllt is Welsh for wild headland, and it describes it perfectly. The Beacons Way footpath, which runs the entire length of the national park, passes through this upland. It's a terrain littered with outcrops of limestone and gritstone.
It's worth venturing off the path just above Penwyllt here to come and have a look at this area of limestone pavement. And it's worth coming here in summer because it's botanically very rich. You can see wild thyme with lovely purple flowers, birds for trefoil here as well, but you'll also get these quite rare limestone specialists growing here.
And this is one of them, lily of the valley, a plant that you often see in gardens, but it's actually a wild flower. And it's amazing to think that it grows here nearly 1,500 feet, that's almost 500 metres above sea level on the calcareous soil. But that's where these grikes come in, these splits in the rock, because it provides the shelter that it needs from the wind and the rain and the harsh conditions that you get up here, even sometimes in the middle of summer.
This is a great place for common lizards as well. It's a good place for a variety of reasons really. First of all, look at the rock. It's full of holes, it's full of cracks, so the lizards can tuck away in there. They can go underground as well over the winter months. And when they do emerge, especially on a day like this, they get not just the warmth of the sun, because bear in mind these are cold-blooded animals, but they get the warmth from the rocks as well. The soil isn't very deep, and I can feel the heat beneath me now, and that's really good for insects. Plenty of insects, plenty of ants here, and funny enough, this one has actually got an insect crawling over its head, and it's just trying to eat it. I think it's got hold of it now.
Van Gehirich, part of the Forest Vow range, is another quiet peak for a lovely summer walk. It's an amphitheatre from which there are fabulous views of the national park. But at 725 metres, that's nearly 2,400 feet, conditions can change dramatically by the time you've reached the summit, even in the summer. Visibility can reduce to a few metres in a matter of moments, and you can easily end up in difficulty. There are 4 mountain rescue teams in the Brecon Beacons. Van Gehirich and the north part of the Beacons is covered by the Brecon team. There are around 50 volunteers who train weekly to be ready for any conceivable accident. Katie Garnett has been with the team for 30 years.
So when I walked down that hill now, right, I arrived here, I thought, what the hell's going on here? It looked like a major incident, but it's an exercise, is it?
Yes, it is, yes, and you see all our bright yellow jackets, which enable us to see each other, and also if a helicopter comes in, if we're working with a rescue helicopter, they love to be able to see who we are and not be distracted by all the other people who've come round to see what's going on.
One tail to the casualty, one tail to Nick. And
what's going on now? Are you pretending someone's fallen over the cliff?
Yes, there's a person who's fallen over the edge and he's called for help.
Right.
And we're setting up systems to bring him up safely. So we're practicing putting in the stakes to lower the stretcher safely.
And the background here, there'll be all kinds of jobs.
Yeah, teachers, company directors, fitness fanatics, housewives, shopkeepers, you name it.
Lovely job though, I'd imagine, when you come out, especially in bad weather, at night maybe, and you save lives. That must be lovely.
Oh, it's fantastic. It is fantastic. We've had some really moving rescues, but we've also had some sad ones as well. But that's when the team spirit brings us all together, and we all get together, and we support each other.
What's the main reason people get lost or people get hurt and you have to get called out?
I think underestimating the conditions. You're coming out today, it's been a beautiful day down in the valley. You're coming up here and you could be in shorts and trainers or something. And if you didn't have a warm jacket, then you'd be feeling that wind. And if you happen to have an accident, if you slip, if you trip, twist an ankle, it's not a serious injury, but you can't walk, and then you're at the mercy of the weather. And waiting for somebody either to report that you're missing or that you've managed to call for help somehow or other.
It's amazing to think that these are all volunteers, each and every one of them, and they'll get roughly about 100 call-outs every year, and unfortunately of those maybe 3 or 4 usually fatalities. And I'm really, really glad that they're out there. I really am.
While the Brecon Beacons is famous for its challenging mountains and open moorland, it has a wide range of wild habitats. In the summer, wet pools in particular become a hive of activity.
This is Traeth Mawr. It's a lovely little bit of common land it is really, with a succession of pools. You can see Penavon and Corndy up there behind me, and at this time of year, especially when the sun is out, it's a great place to come and see damselflies and dragonflies too. Now, I know some of them, but I don't know all of them. But over there, Keith Noble, the county recorder, is a man who knows all of them. Hello, Keith.
Hi, Iolo.
You seen much?
Oh, it's good today. There are lots of four-spotted chasers buzzing about.
And so these are all the same species, four-spotted chasers?
Today, yes, we've just got the one. Later in the season, we'll get more coming out here.
You are a dragonfly recorder.
Every county in Britain has a dragonfly recorder, and their business is to see what dragonflies they can find themselves and encourage other people to submit their sightings too. So I have about 20 people feed in what they see to me, and then I jot down everything I can see, and this gets fed through to the local records centre and the British Dragonfly Society, and so we know what's here.
How many species of dragonfly in the whole of the UK?
It's about 50, if you count in some of the migrants that are quite rare.
And how many in the Brecon Beacons?
About 20.
That's not bad,
I've seen 15 here, just in this area.
And of course what we see here now, that's only one really small part of the whole life cycle, isn't it?
Yes, now these have probably been underwater for 2 years, and some of the big ones like golden ringed even 4 or 5 years.
That's amazing, 4 or 5 years underwater, and then for just a few weeks they're an adult flying around, they lay their eggs, poof, they die, and that's it.
This is just the breeding bit, but most of the life, 90% of the life, is underwater.
This well-worn path is going to be the busiest one in the whole of the Brecon Beacons National Park. It's the route up to the top of Penavon, the highest mountain in the Beacons. So I'm going to go and join the masses.
It's a popular walk, and not least because it's so close to the A470, the main route from south to North Wales. The steep climb is also helped by a defined path that's well maintained by the summit's owner, the National Trust. Summer's a busy time for both visitors and Warden Rob Reith and his team.
Hello there.
Hello there, how are you?
Oh, yeah, not bad at all. I'll have a sit down if that's all right with you.
Take a rest.
Tell you what, it's a long way up, isn't it?
Oh, it is indeed, it is indeed.
And you've got to do this every day, have you?
Most days, yes.
Up and down here.
Yes.
What's this? This is footpath maintenance?
Yeah, we're trying to do a bit of erosion control. So a bit of stone drainage is what we're trying to do. Trying to get the water off the footpaths.
So this is more about water than people, really, is it?
It's a mixture. First of all, I get the water off the footpaths by building a stone ditch. Then I will bring in some scalpings, which is small stone and dust, to place on top of the surface for a footpath.
So what's the worst thing from the point of view of erosion? Is it the thousands of people that come up in and all,
Well,
is it the water?
It's a mixture of both. I'm afraid. Once the vegetation has been eroded by the walkers, the rainwater then gets in and then starts washing away the soil. So I mean, last year, this footpath alone had a footfall of over 200,000.
200,000 people come up here.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. And what's this process now? You've got these stones here put aside. Are these for putting in a row along the edge?
These will be putting in a row along the edge. I will then be getting stone and putting in a base.
Right.
That stops the water getting any deeper.
Right.
Then I'll put some stones in the side which holds the bank in place. But I'm making sure that I create gaps because I then want to put grass seed in the middle. So eventually I want the grass to actually grow through, hiding the stone pitching.
So where does the water go then?
It'll then follow down my side ditch and then onto my cross ditch off.
All right, and then it runs down.
Then it runs down
there.
there, and I'll do it quite frequently because I want to slow the speed and quantity of water running down certain sections.
Of all the thousands of visitors that come to the Beacons every year, the majority are day visitors from South Wales, and many come to Pen y Fan. And this is why.
Top of Pen y Fan, 886 metres above sea level, highest peak in the Brecon Beacons, highest peak in the whole of southern Britain. And what a view! The walk up here is pretty steep, it's pretty hard going, but it's definitely well worth it. It's no wonder that 200,000 people come up the top of Pen y Fan every year.
The twin sandstone peaks of Pen y Fan and its partner Corndee, together with the adjacent ridges and peaks, form the central Beacons. And from here you can see most of South Wales, a 360-degree panorama. Translated, Pen y Fan literally is the Beacon summit. There are many easier ways of exploring the Beacons than climbing the high peaks. This is the Brecon Mountain Railway. Today it's a tourist attraction, but in the past it was an important route connecting the industrial south with rural mid-Wales. It's heading for the foothills of the Pen y Fan range and passing Ponsticket Reservoir, which holds 3.5 million gallons of water for the Merthyr Tydfil area. Alan Foster is one of the train guards.
I gotta say, amazing views, aren't they?
It's absolutely stunning, isn't it?
What's the history of this line then?
Well, the original line used to be a standard gauge line running from about the 1860s right through to the 1960s. So it ran for about 100 years.
Joining where and where?
Well, it was known as the Newport to Brecon line, basically, and also the Merthyr line came into this as well. And it ran with passengers as well as freight, iron, steel, coal, things like that. So
this would have gone right through the Beacons and all the way on to Brecon?
Brecon, exactly, yeah. It went right over the top, down to Talibon, then to Brecon, but also up to Hay-on Wye and up in that direction as well.
I tell you what, that's a hell of a run down, isn't it? That's got to be.
I think it's a 1 in 37 incline on the other side, so it's incredibly steep.
Hell of a job to go back up.
Yeah, exactly.
And when did this reopen?
They actually started running in 1980 with the steam train up to Ponsticket, where we just passed, and then only last year we started running right up into the mountains. So and it's beautiful once you get up there.
Look at that for a view. Look at this.
It's a lovely journey on the train, and most passengers just stop here for a few minutes and climb back on the train for the return journey. But for me, it would simply be a one-way ticket to explore the hills and the wildlife. I'm heading next to an important hill for birds near Abergavenny. This is the Blorange. In the winter it's a wild exposed barren hill, but during spring and summer the thick plant growth of heather, bracken and small bushes makes it a fantastic habitat for ground nesting birds. By June many of the birds have finished nesting, but if it's a cold spring and summer, some will continue well into the summer. Steve Smith has been checking the population of breeding birds here on the Blorange for as long as I can remember.
Hello there, Steve.
Yo, how are you?
How are you? Boy, all right?
All right.
Fella, nice to see you.
Good to see you too.
What have you got there now then?
We've got a small brood of wind chats here, about a week old young or so. I'm just about to ring them now.
Right.
I got a feeling there's only 4. And one of those might be worse from weight. Actually, it might be a dead chick in the nest as well. Normally a first brood will be about 6, but it's not been the best year for the birds.
It's cold, Steve, isn't it? You know, considering it's middle of June, high summer should be, it's really cold.
What if you could do me a favour? Once I ring the birds, I'll be passing them on to you. They're a week old, but unfortunately there's not a huge amount of food around, I don't think. So I'm just going to put an earring on this little chap.
They're doing all right in the Brecon Beacons, aren't they? On the whole.
Generally speaking, they are. Thank you. There's peaks and troughs. There's a much larger chick there, you see.
Oh, yeah. That actually looks like a wind chat, that one, doesn't it?
You know, that's
beginning to get that black band across the eyes.
Yeah, indeed.
Smart, isn't it?
Yeah, so he's getting the majority of the food from the parents here. Pop that in the bag for me. Oh, this is quite a large one too, so this is quite an healthy chick also.
Yeah. Let's just hope, I mean, if it warmed up now when the food increased, even the young one might survive, mightn't it?
Absolutely. So this is the little chap that I'm fearful for. He was the scrawny little thing and he was already dead in the nest, you see.
Oh, right, poor thing.
You know, we don't want this thing to start smelling in the nest.
No.
I'll keep him out for the sake of the other birds.
Right. So it's going to be a brood
I'm
of
afraid just a very small brood, that's only 50%.
The biggest concern when ringing birds is the time spent near the nest, especially when it's a tough year for the parents. During a cold summer, insects are hard to find, so the quicker we leave, the quicker the parents can get on with the job of looking after the chicks. Wildlife and landscape are extremely sensitive to people, climate and anything else that can harm the natural balance of a habitat. The summit of Pen Trimai in the Black Mountains has been damaged. It's been like this for 40 years, since a fire burning for 3 weeks exposed underlying peat during the hot summer of 1976. A group of dedicated volunteers is climbing the 700-metre hill to help patch it up. They've been doing this every summer for the past 5 years. Graham Cowden is one of the volunteers.
Hello there. I saw you all coming up the hill. I thought it was some kind of pilgrimage. There must have been about 10 people following 2 horses. What's going on here then?
We're experimenting in some ways with the use of, in this case, scarred wool, but we've also got raw wool here from the local graziers in an attempt to slow down the water to try and help this area of exposed blanket bog and hopefully get it restored.
There should be a thick layer of peat here, but the damaged bog cannot retain water and is continually being eroded by runoff water from rainfall. Artist Pip Wolf came up with the idea of using locally sourced wool to help restore the area. You've got dozens of volunteers, haven't you?
1,000 people involved in this project.
Honestly, that many?
Some of them don't come up here. In the first year, we hand-made the felt, which is a very labour-intensive process. Everyone that came here made felt, and we laid 300 metres across here, and the line is still visible. It's the thinking, how can we return this landscape to a working physical thing? This is a very powerful landscape, and we are part of it.
Pip Wolf and a team may never be able to restore the summit of Pentrymau. After all, it's a blanket bog that's taken thousands of years to form. The fact is, the Brecon Beacons is a fragile landscape, and it needs the respect of all of us. Next time it's the autumn, the Beacons enters its most colourful season, and both people and wildlife do what they can before the long cold days return.
Iolos Brecon Beacons is back on Monday at 7:30, and that's followed by Welsh or English. Lucy Owen's Big School Dilemma looks at which medium as secondary school is the best choice. That's on Monday at 8:30 here on BBC One Wales.